All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, for anyone who tuned into the NFL's Pro Bowl this past Sunday, they more than likely were not thrilled with the product that they saw. Lackluster tackling at best, while players were less than enthused to be there at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and it was on full display. And I am sure that the brass of the National Football League could not have been thrilled either. Now, once upon a time, pride and competition left the Pro Bowl. And once upon a time, we saw players who wanted to compete against the best and have bragging rights over their fellow compadres, so to speak. I look at it and I think about a guy like Jerry Rice. Obviously, Jerry Rice, one of the best uh, football players, period, to have ever played. Obviously, arguably the best wide receiver to have ever done it. And where guys like Michael Irvin got to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii and they were taking it easy, Jerry wanted to go out there and show the other receivers who he was. Because there was always somebody that people want to say, well, this guy's going to be the next Jerry Rice, or this guy is nipping on the heels of Jerry Rice. No, Jerry Rice wanted to go out there and show those guys. He competed in practice and he came over into the game day for the actual Pro Bowl. I also think about, the story of Jack Youngblood, who suffered the fractured leg in the divisional round of the 79 playoffs. Stayed in that, came back, played in that game, played in the NFC Championship game against the Bucks, played in Super Bowl 14 against the Steelers, and then went out to Honolulu the following week and played in the Pro Bowl. There are many stories where the great players competed in this contest, and they never worried about injury or they never worried about their next contract. It was all about pride, bragging rights, showing that you were the best. That no longer exists in this game. Today's players, they're worried about getting injured and getting paid, and I understand that. But with that said, there still needs to be a fine line as far as going out there and competing. I mean, you never you never want to go out there and think about getting injuries because when you think about getting injured, law of averages, you're going to get injured. Just go out there, play, have fun, and leave it all out there. But then again, nobody wants that, possible ACL injury, you name it. But so it's a slippery slope in that matter. But unlike the other major sports, the NFL, they have their all-star game at the end of the season. And some of the guys, they might be a little bit banged up if their season ended, if their play rather ended at the regular season. They got a couple of weeks to get fresh. If they ended, in the earlier rounds of the playoffs, they still have an opportunity to freshen up and come back. But I mean, you look at it overall, the NFL did try to fix this issue in several ways. They moved the Pro Bowl from Hawaii. I was not a fan of that, but nonetheless, they did it. Also, once upon a time, we saw the Pro Bowl played the week after the Super Bowl. Now it is in that bye week between conference championship games and the Super Bowl to try to hyping things up, so to speak. We've seen more skills competitions added to this event, but it has not worked. And to me, it's not going to work unless the players that are there are fully committed to showcasing their talents to the best of their ability. We saw this in the skills competition where the players were more into it than the actual game. But the thing is, you have some players that are in the Pro Bowl that should not be there. They're either there to replace injured players or players who don't want to play, or, typically with the Super Bowl participants, they tend to have, a rather hefty sized contingent in the game that takes away spots too. And I mean, in the past, we've seen guys play in the Super Bowl, and then if the Pro Bowl was the following week in Hawaii, they'd go out there. Some of the guys would play, some wouldn't. But nonetheless, it's not the same right now. You look at it, to me, my thing is this: if the players are not going to give maximum effort in the Pro Bowl, do away with the game, but make that Sunday dedicated to a skills competition on live television. You could still sell tickets, you could still make money. You could still bring in revenue, uh, as far as like ad sponsors, because people will watch. And my thing is this: bring back the quarterback challenge. We saw this a lot in the 90s and the early 2000s where, some of the game's best quarterbacks would get together. We'd see them throw the football for accuracy at the moving targets. Of course, the guy was just driving the little golf cart behind it, and try to hit it. You know, that was a part of it. That was some fun. You saw the guys competing. Building camaraderie with one another. The guys that they compete with. Bring that back. Uh, let's have a fastest man in the NFL challenge. We saw that once upon a time. Of course, Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs would be everybody's odds-on favorite. But who's going to pop up to give a guy like Tyreek Hill competition? People would want to see that. Uh, bring back the strongest lineman. There was a time at the Pro Bowl, the week of the Pro Bowl, you'd have the linemen getting together uh, on flat bench as well as incline, and of course, we saw what the likes of Larry Allen went over to Hawaii and did. I still think about what Leroy Glover did in bench pressing 4 plates on the incline rack, which is tremendous. But nonetheless, bring that stuff back. Put the best DBs up against the best wide receivers in one-on-one competitions. These guys, they like to talk. Mic them up. Let's go out there and see what happens. This is what the I think the NFL needs, because I think that, in my personal opinion, uh, would bring more excitement to the table than the product that we are currently seeing at the Pro Bowl. And if you're the NFL, you can take a page from the NHL, MLB, and NBA, as sometimes their respective skill competitions are better than the actual game. A lot of people want to watch the home run derby in Major League Baseball. There's people who want to see the skills competition uh, for the NHL All Star game. See the fastest man. See who can, take the hardest shot. You name it. Of course, the NBA people always chimed in for the slam dunk contest, watching the 3-point contest. You name it. And with that said, the MLB All Star Game has lost some of its luster, and we saw Major League Baseball about 20 years ago have to entice their players to play harder by putting home field advantage for the World Series on the line. We've seen some very lackluster NBA All Star games in about the last 10 years, where I'm really fearful that at some point, we're gonna see a team score 200 points in the All Star game because guys are not trying. They're exhibition games. I get that. The fans want to see them. I get that, but there's still the competitive aspect that I think that people want to see as well. And getting back to the NFL, they really need to do something about this. I don't know if these leagues can find a way to incentivize these exhibition contests more so that people can actually see some competitive action. But the product that they are simply putting out right now is not going to get it done. This past Sunday's Pro Bowl was terrible. I know that the game ended 41-35, but nonetheless, um, if guys are going to go out there and give you a half effort, then charge the fans half the money for the tickets, or just give away the tickets for free. Doesn't make any sense. But you cannot consistently put a product out there like what we saw as a potential lead up to a Super Bowl 56 and expect it, to be that appetizing to a fan. So I look at it right now, there have to be changes to the Pro Bowl. You cannot keep doing what you're doing if you're the National Football League. And I really do believe that the brain trust of the NFL is going to get together in the near future and try to find a way to figure this out. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.